Friday. Bye-week Red Friday edition. It's about right. It's the best bye week you can have in the NFL is the bye week before the Super Bowl. Chiefs versus the Eagles. We will break down what this means legacy-wise for the Kansas City Chiefs, for Patrick Mahomes, for Andy Reid, and much more. We will get to all of that today here on Mic'd Up. Turnovers are a big deal. We're going to discuss the turnover aspect of it. We're going to hear from Steve Spagnuolo. We're going to hear from Eric Bieniemy. We're going to hear from Jalen Watson and Trent McDuffie. Talk a little hoops. Have a list. Today's list, the I'm him reference. That's going on these days. Joe Burrow even referenced that.
Yeah.
In the Mic'd Up segment, the I'm him type of deal. And maybe even the originator himself was quoted by Patrick Mahomes in the game or after the game. Patrick Mahomes tweeted out the Pete Weber gif of
Pete Weber, the king,
who's the originator of
Who Do You Think You Are?
I am. So it'll be our just epic performances where you go, yeah, that boy different.
If neither of us have Pete Weber on the list, he at least gets an honorable mention from both of us for being the originator.
He is the originator.
Who do you think you are? I am.
Unfortunately,
Love Pete Weber.
Unfortunately, that one, I don't know if Pete Weber is he that guy.
No, I agree. No, I'm fully with you. He gets an honorable mention for just being a great reference point for this.
Yes. So we'll get to that. We got a lot to discuss. Derek Carr in his feelings. We will get to plenty of that today here on this edition of Mic'd Up. Hit us up on Twitter at SportsOn580. Very simple, very easy. Hit us up on our Big O Tires text line, 785-272-9429. Let us know your thoughts on this Friday edition. Check us out on YouTube. Go to youtube.com. Go to SportsOn580. Very simple, very easy. Click the subscribe button. You can watch us as well. Let us know in the comments section. Go to 580www.com. Love to get your thoughts. Hit us up. Let us know what is going on for you this weekend. How big is this game coming up on Sunday the 12th? We are talking rarefied air. I mean, rarefied air if the Chiefs get this thing done. If the Chiefs win on Sunday the 12th, they will have won 2 Super Bowls in a 4-year span and have gone to 2 Super Bowls in a 4-year span. They basically would be the 8th team to accomplish something of that nature. The Patriots have won 2 in 3 years, just recently, in 16 and 19. Then you have the Patriots again, and they won 3 of 4. That's one of the, you could argue that's one of the best dynasties ever because it was in the free agency period.
Yep.
Then you go back to the Cowboys, who've won 3 of 4. Then you go to the 49ers with, Montana and Bill Walsh, George Seifert, that type of thing. Then you go back, you got the Steelers and then the Cowboys, and then all the way back, you got the Packers, if you want to include the Packers in that. But this, I think, might be different. This is even maybe the only one that compares to it is the 16 and 19 Super Bowl champion Patriots, because even the 02, 04, 05 Patriots, the cap hits weren't what they were. The emphasis on the quarterback and the money aspect of it wasn't the same. And we sure definitely understand that what the Chiefs are doing right now compared to what the Cowboys did in the early 90s and the 49ers did in the late 80s.
Vastly different.
That is apples and popsicle sticks. Like, that is that completely different to me. If the Chiefs win this thing coming up on the 12th, the Patriots are the only team to do that in this current free agency era since really 2011, when that collective bargaining agreement, that one was the game changer. This most recent one changed a few things, but not a lot. They added the extra game, if you will, but basically since that 2010 point, and really if you want to go with since Peyton Manning changed the game and he complained enough about, holding by defensive backs, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like this is unique stuff that the Chiefs are in. We're talking one of the 10 greatest stretches of football in NFL history. And if you want to debate, because there was no free agency way back in the day, I think you can argue this with the Patriots in 03 or 02, 04, 05. I really do think that when it comes to this. That is how big this win could be, because you've gone to 3 Super Bowls in 4 years and you won 2 of them. You are 2-1 in the Super Bowl. So that's how big it is for the Chiefs. But then look at it individually. I briefly brought this up with you, me, and Dan on Crosstalk a couple weeks ago. Patrick Mahomes is going to win the MVP.
Yeah, that is pretty much a foregone conclusion at this point.
He's going to win it.
A week from today at NFL Honors, he's going to win an MVP.
If he doesn't, then oh boy.
Yeah, we got some props.
Here are the quarterbacks who've won 2 MVPs. Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Johnny Unitas, Brett Favre, Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Steve Young, Kurt Warner. Those are the people who've won 2 MVPs.
Pretty good list.
Here are the quarterbacks who have won 2 Super Bowls, but have also won 2 MVPs. Okay? So it's MVPs, but have won 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
All right. They are Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Joe Montana, and if you want to include Steve Young in this, he technically has, but he wasn't the quarterback. He was the backup.
Kind of gets to a little bit of a gray area.
Exactly.
Like, has the ring, but did he really win 2?
You know what I'm talking about?
That's gray area.
So you got 2 Super Bowl MVPs, or 2 MVPs, the regular season MVPs.
And 2 Super Bowls.
2 Super Bowls. That's Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and Joe Montana. Now, if Patrick Mahomes wins the Super Bowl on the 12th, he's probably going to win the MVP.
Usually how it's been going.
That's how, unless somebody does something like a Deion Branch way back in the day, or Von Miller, that type of thing. But the reason why Von Miller got it is because the Broncos offense was cheeks in that game, and they literally couldn't give it to anybody.
Yeah.
There are 2 individuals who have got 2 MVPs, 2 Super Bowls, and 2 Super Bowl MVPs. And their names are Tom Brady and Joe Montana.
That's 2.
That's it. That is it. Guys with 2 of the
pinnacle of accomplishments.
Yeah, exactly. Very well put.
The pinnacle of the accomplishments are winning a Super Bowl, winning an MVP, getting a Super Bowl MVP. Those are the top tier things you can get as a player, particularly a quarterback, especially in the NFL. And only 2 guys can say they've done all 3 twice.
Even if he doesn't win the MVP, you're looking at 2 MVPs, 2 Super Bowls.
That's a list you're joining with technically 4 guys, but really 3.
Really 3. And the 3 that most people put together as the 3 greatest of all time.
Yeah, Peyton Manning, one of the greatest of all time. Tom Brady up there. Joe Montana.
You know what I mean? Dan Orlovsky put his top 5 quarterbacks of all time.
And it was trash.
And he had Tom Brady number 1. If you have anybody above Tom Brady, then I need to stop talking to you.
I've said it many times. I may not like Tom Brady as a person. Mm-hmm. I respect the hell out of him as a football player. Yeah. And he is the greatest quarterback of all time. He has 7 Super Bowls.
And it's not even close.
That matters. And, of course, all the other just statistical accomplishments.
Exactly.
It's absurd.
Now, number 2, he had Patrick Mahomes. Okay. At this current rate,
it's just too early.
That's foolishness.
Yeah, it's too early.
It's foolishness.
We love Pat around here, but too early.
At number 3, John Elway.
Get John Elway out of here.
Number 4, Peyton Manning.
Allowed.
And number 5, Dan Marino. Okay, here's the thing I have with this, and that's the reason I bring up, Super Bowl MVPs and all of that. Do I think Tom Brady's number 1? No questions asked. Yes. Patrick Mahomes is 2 years. He's only been a starting quarterback for 5 years. Peyton Manning. The fact that Joe Montana's not on that list makes me now question everything that Dan Orlovsky says, but also Dan Orlovsky just last week told me that Joe Burrow was better at quarterbacking than Mahomes, but Mahomes was a better player. I don't know what the hell that means, but I don't even care, even if it's, and I'm using air quotes here, quarterbacking. John Elway is a very good quarterback. Very good quarterback. He's not top 5. And there's no statistical analysis, and I will not even further discuss that. Patrick Mahomes, if he does win this Super Bowl and he gets the MVP, Patrick Mahomes in 5 years is in the discussion for top 5 after 5 years. He passes guys like Aaron Rodgers. He passes guys like Brett Favre to me, even in 5 years, because what he's accomplished.
Yeah.
The records that he's already broken, what he's able to do. There's only 3 people who have done 2 regular season MVPs, right? Aaron Rodgers has won 4. He's only been to 1 Super Bowl, okay? Yeah. Getting to the Super Bowl matters. Championships matter. Like that's the reason why nobody talks about Dan Marino. If you just want to talk about pure arm talent and playing at the quarterback position, Dan Marino's in the discussion. But because he doesn't have the awards, it's hard for a lot of us to put him in that list. That's why Brady, with what he's been able to do, is up there. That's why Peyton Manning's won 4 MVPs, and he's won 2 Super Bowls. Oh. And I understand that 1 Super Bowl, he rode the coattails of a defense, but you still got to do it on the offensive side. Yeah. And I don't make the rules. I'm just going why this is what it's going to end up being. That's what we talked about a lot last week. If the Chiefs lose to the Bengals, people are going to start talking about Burrow. And that's
narratives exist in certain ways. We're not going to make the rules how they get constructed.
Winning cures everything, and winning is the trump card. It is it. That's why the number one reason why people say Jordan is better than LeBron. 6-0, 6-0, 6-0, 6-0.
6 rings.
You know what I mean? And he never lost. He never lost in the finals. That's where you're at with Patrick Mahomes through 5 years. We have now already determined this. You can be elite for less than 5 years, really 4 years, and you'll make the Hall of Fame. Look at Terrell Davis. Terrell Davis was elite for 4 years. That's
he made the Hall of Fame.
And he made the Hall of Fame. If Patrick Mahomes wins the MVP, which he will, so he'll have 2 MVPs, which we now know how many quarterbacks have done that.
Small list.
Manning, Rodgers, Unitas, Favre, Brady, Montana, Young, and Warner, and all of them are in the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Well, Rodgers will be first ballot.
Aaron will be first ballot once he's done, once he's eligible.
And he wins the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes could retire on February 13th, and he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he's in the discussion when it comes to that's how big it is. Now,
he'd be a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he would not have reached the age of 30.
Yeah. Andy Reid, same situation for Andy Reid. Andy Reid now is a lock, no question, Hall of Famer. But if Andy Reid gets 2 Super Bowls, Andy Reid now goes from lock Hall of Famer to first ballot, no questions asked when you have 2 Super Bowls, this many wins with 2 different teams. This now will be Andy Reid's 4th Super Bowl. He's taken 2 for the Chiefs. This will be his 3rd. And then he took the Eagles to 1. That'll be 4 Super Bowls. And if he wins this, he'll have won 2 of 4 Super Bowls. If he wins this, he is in the conversation now of top 5 coach all time and maybe a lock top 5 coach of all time with what he is doing. The only other ones that you can even put into consideration for me when it comes to this, if he wins his 2nd Super Bowl, then to 4 is Bill Belichick. He's far and away number 1.
Yeah.
Then you've got Chuck Noll when he was with the Steelers.
Yeah.
When he won those. Don Shula.
Yeah.
All right. And then you get into Joe Gibbs, he's won 3, Reed's won 2, Tom Landry, that type of thing.
Then you have to get into more of a debate of who has won championships but also has sustained regular season success. Whereas all the others before have locked in, won championships, and or just been so dominant and have won so many games.
So that, to me, is why this is such a huge deal for... Like, I don't know if you can put him ahead of Don Shula, but...
I don't think you can.
He's in the discussion because when it comes to all-time wins, it goes Belichick, Shula, but, Landry has got 2 Super Bowl wins, Chuck Noll 4, Joe Gibbs 3, but if Andy Reid wins number 2, I think Andy Reid passes Bill Parcells. I think Andy Reid passes Bill Walsh. I think Andy Reid is, in discussion and maybe passes Jimmy Johnson. Vince Lombardi. Lombardi might be in his own category because
I think he just gets his own little thing at this point.
But if you want to talk about the top 5, if Andy Reid wins it, it's Belichick, it's Shula, it's Noll, it's Lombardi, and probably Andy Reid. He probably passes Joe Gibbs. Like, that's how important this is to me. Same thing for a guy like Chris Jones. You got 2 Super Bowl rings, dominant stretch if you're Chris Jones. You're talking...
Helps his resume that he wants to keep building.
Yeah, same thing if you're Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is number 2 behind Jerry Rice in basically every postseason statistical category.
Like, Travis Kelce is already a lock for the Hall of Fame, in my opinion.
Oh,
and I think many others.
Easily.
I would say right now he should be first ballot, considering that at least I consider him, and many others do as well. He's the greatest tight end to ever play the game. He adds 2 Super Bowls to that list. He has numerous tight end accolades. He's up there in receptions amongst every type of pass catcher.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce locks in as a first ballot Hall of Famer with this win.
Yeah. And that's why there's for Mahomes in the quarterback position, that is why that is so important. I mean, he is in rarefied air.
He's in rarefied air well before the age of 30. And that can't be understated in an era where we did talk a ton about championships. But at the same time, we discuss how hard it is to get to one. When you start getting multiple, that really tells you how great your run is when you're getting to and winning multiple championships, because it's just hard to get one.
Especially in this era. It really is. Coming up next, Derek Carr got in his feelings and made things a little bit awkward. We'll get to that, and we'll talk plenty of turnovers here on Mic'd Up. Skills competition was last night. Did you watch any of that, Fulton?
Watched every minute of it.
Derek Carr got on a heater, man.
It was hilarious to watch.
Derek Carr probably threw the football better in that simulation, if you will, throwing to dummies and targets and everything than he did throwing a football to players. And in fact, he was asked that. And this is what Derek Carr's response was yesterday.
Derek, you've thrown touchdown passes in Vegas before. You've been on fire. Have you ever been that hot in Las Vegas?
Not that hot. It's probably why I'm going somewhere else.
Bro.
That's hilarious.
First of all, when I saw that, I said, damn, that's funny.
It's hilarious.
But secondly, because it's coming from Derek Carr, he is not handling this well. That to me, and maybe I'm wrong and I'm reading more into this, but Derek Carr saying that publicly, he's crushed. He is absolutely crushed that they basically are benching him and moving on.
And I'll put it this way to everybody out there that hates on Derek Carr so much. Wouldn't you feel the same way? Wouldn't you feel the same way that the organization you've busted your ass for every year you've been in this league and have been surrounded by a lot of crap talent all of the times and have been the scapegoat of all these problems? Wouldn't you be a little mad when they just kick you to the curb? Like, I've seen people basically like, this is funny. I've seen the people be like, oh, he's so hurt, so sad. Wouldn't you be? I'd be fuming. I'd be making these same comments.
But coming from Derek Carr, who is a sensei, he's an emotional guy.
Derek Carr's an emotional guy. And
He's
coming from him is going to always make these things feel different.
Yeah.
But this is just a guy upset that someone quit on him. And I don't blame him for a second. The Raiders used him as a scapegoat when he was objectively not the main cause of their problems this year. And many years was the only reason they had any success. And they're just like, nah, it's Derek Carr's fault.
That was pretty funny.
I also respect Derek Carr saying, I'm not moving, delaying the trigger date for my incentives. Like, no, you guys got to the 15th, you're paying me.
Yeah,
I respect it.
Coming up, we're going to talk some turnovers here on Mic'd Up. People in the great state of Texas, they're having a tough one right now. The ice is causing all sorts of issues right now, and their video of Texans walking to their car in the ice cracks me up right now. It's kind of funny. Have you seen some of these videos?
Not really, no.
They're pretty good. I'm not gonna lie to you. They're pretty good. If you don't know how to handle ice, watching someone handle ice is
it's hilarious.
It's kind of like watching, sometimes a baby boomer try to figure out how to fix something on their phone. It's kind of funny. It really, really is. We got a lot to get to coming up. We are going to hear from Steve Spagnuolo. We are going to hear from Eric Bieniemy, two rookies, or as Jalen Watson just said, what rookies?
I didn't think I could like Jalen Watson any more than I already do, and I love him even more.
7th round.
I love these boys.
7th round rookie. What rookie? We will get to that. Steve Spagnuolo commenting on the Eagles' run game, and Dave Tope. And this is why sometimes setting and where you're at matters in decisions. And if I am not mistaken, young Fulton, you were irate when the Chiefs punted not once but twice there late in the game in the fourth quarter.
So I was not necessarily irate because I understood why they at least had to eliminate the kicking option.
Okay.
Like, I understood why they couldn't kick. Like, other people were mad for different reasons. I understood why at least you couldn't kick. I fully understood that you could not kick past 50. That ball was dead.
And that's what Dave Tobe said today. He made it very, very clear as to why. And, they asked, hey, did you think about kicking the field goal? And he said, due to the conditions, it wasn't even an option. It was not. And he said, Andy Reid and myself, we're going to punt the football both times. It was not a discussion. We were going to punt the football. One, he said, because if it was, a normal atmosphere, he goes, oh yeah, we're punting or we're kicking the field goal, let Butker go up there and we're going to go up 3-0 and we'll be good to go. But he also said on the flip side, that means the Bengals have got to get even further because they were going to the other end, which was even tougher to kick from. They said in the pregame, that was pregame. Mm-hmm. So we're talking around 4:00. Butker couldn't make it past 52. Past 52. And then we're talking about it's 8:30 at night, even colder, and the balls are even more deflated, that even 50 was going to be difficult. So for those of you out there going, oh, playoff Andy Reid, and he's punting the football. That's the reason why I think if they were down, they would have done something. Yeah. They might have gone for it, or they wouldn't have tried the field. They would have gone for it. Yeah. But because it was tied,
they were willing to take the risk, and
they didn't want to do it.
And here's what, like on that specific front, it's like I said before after the game earlier this week on Monday. Fans don't worry about the Chiefs punting in those situations in Arizona because those conditions won't exist again.
No,
like they'll probably kick field goals in those spots there. I get if there are people that would have rather them try to go for it with the idea of you have Patrick Mahomes be a little more aggressive on the fourth down situations. That I understand. There's also extenuating circumstances there with both the weather late in the game, the receiver core being depleted, and yet the Super Bowl is different with the depleted core because you're practicing for 2 weeks with the depleted core. Those guys who don't usually get to play know their role. It's different in the middle of the game flow. And two, Mahomes was on one leg. Like, I get if the idea of your quarterback's hurt, your receivers are limited, the other team's got to get real deep into your territory to even kick a field goal in these conditions. And your defense was kind of playing well. I get the idea of let's just try and punt. And credit to Tommy Townsend, he put together some nice punts in that weather with that short field of being them inside the 10. So
speaking of down in Arizona, Dave Tobe was asked because the Chiefs started in Arizona and
they're terrible turf
finish. Folks, do not worry about that. That is a completely different situation. Dave Tobe said, anybody bringing that up, stop, because it's different. The turf in Phoenix, in Glendale, that they played on week 1, according to Dave Tobe, was the turf that they had been practicing on, that they had their preseason games on, that a high school game was played on earlier. And so that turf was
used and abused,
beat up. The only time someone is going to set foot on this turf will be Sunday, February the 12th at about 3:00 when they go out there for the very first time. So he said,
good. That makes me happy.
This turf is going to be pristine. It will not be an issue. So don't think that, the turf is going to be a problem. It won't be. It will be fine. Also,
it makes me feel better.
George Toma is the one in charge of the turf again. KC legend. So don't worry about that, folks. Do not worry about the turf.
They could also just, have grass put in and have these discussions. But hey, that's apparently too difficult for multi-billion-dollar organizations.
Well, no, they do. It's that's the one that they roll it from the outside onto the inside.
Okay.
So
I'm happy.
It is a
Okay,
graph.
I'm happy.
And it will be.
I'm
graphs.
happier now.
So
I am a much happier person now.
yeah. So Dave Tobe dropping some,
Thank you, Dave.
horticulture knowledge, if you will.
You using the word horticulture.
So that relax, folks. Relax when it comes to that. So that's a little update for the Kansas City Chiefs. Today we'll hear from all the coordinators, and we will hear from McDuffie and Jalen Watson. Media day announced Monday. It's going to be that big giant shindig again. Of course, the Chiefs didn't get to do that in 2021 when they lost to the Bucks
because we still had a lot of restrictions in place.
Yep. Last year, of course, Chiefs weren't in the Super Bowl.
Weren't there, so who cares?
But it will be. They'll have the big giant podium.
Party.
It is. It's Monday night media day. The Eagles will go first. Then they'll probably do what they did last time when the Chiefs were in the Super Bowl with the 49ers. You had George Kittle and you had Travis Kelce come together and they talked back and forth. That will be Jason and Travis Kelce more than likely this time, or Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes. One of those two duos will probably be out there and their own little media session in between the teams, and that'll end up happening. So that's on Monday night media night. That giant spectacle where 12 of the Chiefs, and it's the big time guys, the Mahomes, the Kelce, McKinnon, Juju Smith-Schuster, Chris Jones, Frank Clark. Those will have their own podiums, and that's when you've got all the crazy people, in like frog suits asking them questions about, are you scared more of a frog or a toad? That type of thing. So that'll be coming up on Monday. A little update.
Neither. They're both great animals
on the schedule. I'm indifferent. They're whatever. They're not. I wouldn't consider a frog a great animal.
I would pretty good. Very tasty.
I'd consider it just whatever.
Frog legs are delicious.
I've never had them.
Tastes like chicken.
And so I'm just like I'm neutral on the frog and or
try
the
some
toad.
frog legs sometime.
If I have the opportunity, I will try. I will try some.
You'll enjoy them.
But
when prepared well, they're very tasty.
I would not consider them you said they were great. Would not label the frog or the toad great.
No, they're fantastic. Just hopping around, taking care of the bug problem. Listen, I support any animal that helps keep down bug populations. Outside of spiders. Spiders and I, we got a problem. Actually, spider and I have a very simple thing. If they're outside, we're good. I let them do their thing. I do my thing. Spider comes inside my house, is dead. I see one outside, I let it be, and I just walk around it.
Yeah, you don't when you've got two kids. Man, we're talking a massive spider this summer in our backyard. Just the web, it was from our fence to like our house, I'm talking, this thing was it had to have been like the size of this like Gatorade bottle.
Yeah.
Like the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Massive.
They exist.
Yes. Yeah, that guy ain't alive anymore.
That's fair.
They ain't alive anymore.
Listen, everyone should have their own rules of engagement when it comes to spiders. Me and spiders have the rule of outside, we're kind of good.
You know me, spiders don't bother me.
Yeah.
Spiders
bother me.
Yeah. Ooh. But I don't want my kids getting near that gigantic
thing. And that's fair. That defines a different rule of engagement.
That was the biggest spider I've ever seen. That was so big. Oh my gosh. But anyway, it's been spider talk.
And Spider-Man didn't come up. Sad.
The Chiefs defense. What do we say the Chiefs defense needs to do this year outside of being just average?
Generate some turnovers.
Can you generate the TO? Well, the Chiefs have forced multiple turnovers in 4 straight games. That's the second longest streak during the Mahomes era. And they had a 7-game multi-turnover streak in 2021. Chiefs have had 4 streaks of 5 to 7 games under Andy Reid in 2013 to 2017. If the Chiefs defense forces 2 turnovers in the game against the Eagles, when are we having the Super Bowl parade? I'm going to tell you that right now. If the Chiefs
Wednesday?
is it Tuesday or Wednesday? If the Chiefs force 2 turnovers in this game, the Chiefs will win this football game. End of discussion. Because this Eagle team has been thriving on the turnover this year.
Yeah, they're very good at generating takeaways.
The Eagles this year on offense, they've thrown 9 interceptions and they have 10 fumbles. That is 19 takeaways. Their defense, 17 interceptions and 10 fumbles for the Philadelphia Eagles. They are +8 in the turnover margin. If you look at what this Eagle team, and it's hard for me to even judge this playoff stretch for the Eagles because they've played very unique games. They have played a crappy Giants team who the only reason they made the playoffs is because they had the easiest schedule in the NFL. Number 2, the Giants got to play the worst 13-4 team and just basically said, oh, okay, you're going to implode. So the Giants got to play the Eagles. The Giants are maybe the worst divisional team in a long time. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
No defense. Their defense is terrible. And their offense will basically just pass rush Daniel Jones and you'll be fine. Then they played a 49er team that after the first half, actually the first quarter, they're in it. Yeah. They were in the game.
Yeah.
They were in the game. And the Eagles were lucky because if you throw a simple challenge flag, they're in the game. It's 7-7. Midway through the second quarter, it is 7-7. And then disaster strikes. And the Eagles score 14 points in the last 2 minutes of the half, and it was over because the 49ers didn't have a quarterback. There's zero threat of offense. And so it's hard for me to gauge this Eagle team in these 2 playoff games.
Yeah.
Because it's more than just, 31-7, 38-7. The Giants stink, okay? And the 49ers were not a legit football team for half that game. But if you look at how they got there because of turnovers. They got big-time turnovers in the game against the 49ers. They forced 3 of them. How many turnovers have the 49ers had these last 2 games? In their 2 playoff games, how many turnovers have they had? Their offense.
I think it was just the 3 against Philly.
No.
Or prior to Philly.
No, their offense.
Yeah.
Their offense.
How much Philly's offense is turned over?
Yeah,
okay, you said 49ers offense.
Oh, no, I meant Philly's.
Philly's offense. I think they've turned over, once?
0 times.
Okay.
They have not turned the football over. Same situation goes on the offensive side for the Chiefs. If the Chiefs don't turn it over, they are in a great spot. This Eagle team thrives on the turnover, and they get a bunch of them. The Chiefs are -3 in the turnover margin. -3 in the turnover margin. I need to go back and look just how many teams were minus in the turnover margin in the regular season and made it to the Super Bowl. Now, the Chiefs in this postseason stretch, we know that the Chiefs have forced 4 turnovers. Yeah. 2 against the Jaguars.
They're hot.
2 against the Bengals. Turnover is going to be a big factor in this one for the Kansas City Chiefs. Don't turn it over. The Eagles, they will find a way to turn it over. From year to year, I think turnovers are part of they're contagious, but I think one year to the next year they're not, because I think the makeup of the team, because everybody remembers was it 2016 Chiefs? That was the year that they just incredible turnovers. Eric Berry's intercepting passes. Marcus Peters is looking like prime, Ronnie Lott, Charles Woodson. And they forced so many turnovers. I think it was 2016. That was the year that the Chiefs were just, was it 2016 or was it 2017? And then the very next year, the Chiefs forced like 0 turnovers. No, it wasn't 2016. Was it 2015? Trying to think here. Was it? No, maybe it was.
It might have been 17.
Was it 17?
They forced 26 turnovers in 2017. They had 16 interceptions in 2017.
That might have been it. Where they just were forcing turnovers left and right. They were awesome. And then the very next year, they couldn't get a turnover to save their life.
It happens. I've always, turnovers are a thing that legitimately are kind of fickle.
I think it's not as fickle during the year from game to game, but it is from season to season.
Yeah, because sometimes it's more year to year. It truly is.
You just have a group and a team that just takes away the football. And that Chiefs team did that year. This current Eagle team, that's just what they do at this point in time. They force turnovers. And so that's the reason why I look at this team as don't turn it over. Very, very simple in the game coming up. I mean, that is so big, so big. Coming up next, our hearts cry out for Oklahoma and Texas. We'll tell you why. Several news outlets. Texas and Oklahoma are staying in the Big 12 for another year after next year. According to Pete Thamel of ESPN, negotiations for Oklahoma and Texas to leave the Big 12 a year early and join the SEC in 2024 have stalled, and a deal is not expected to come to fruition. After weeks of negotiations, Texas and Oklahoma are still slated to join in 2025. Parties couldn't come to terms amid a complex negotiation involving Oklahoma and Texas, the two networks, ESPN and Fox, and the Big 12. Sides couldn't agree on how to create equitable value for what Fox would lose in 2024, the equivalent of 7 football games featuring Oklahoma and Texas that command premium advertising. They heated up over the last few days with the Big 12 late this week, doubling as an unofficial deadline to get it done. There's no formal timeline or brink from which you can't come back, a source said. But this is where things are now. A deal is unlikely. Good deal with it, Oklahoma and Texas. But Fulton, I think they're going to play in the SEC in 2024. Right now, it's unlikely. I think this was a chance for ESPN, Fox, the Big 12, and the SEC and everything to try to just knock it out here in one chance. I think there's still, it's a non-zero chance. It says here it was always unlikely they would leave before the final year of the deal. Somehow money's going to get involved in this thing. The SEC, too big, too powerful. I'm still not sold that they're going to play in 24 in the Big 12.
What you believe, man.
You think they're stuck?
I think they're stuck.
Hey,
I think they are stuck.
Hey, good. I hope they do. But, man, we've seen this stuff too many times. Coming up, we're going to hear from the coordinators. Mic'd up. Thank you so much for joining us. Jake and Fulton along with Fulton Caster. And some high school hoops tonight. Of course, K-State on the weekend. K-State taking on Texas. Big one. We'll talk some more Big 12 hoops coming up in a little bit this hour. Everyone loves the list. Those dominant performances. That I'm him type of game that we have seen a lot of people reference nowadays. There are a lot of those performances where you were like, yeah, that guy's that dude.
Yeah, this is one of the we have some lists where I feel like there's the definitive things that should be, things that shouldn't be. This one just feels like there's just a plethora, and it's just pick out your four that really stick out to you.
Yeah. So we will get to that coming up on this edition of Everyone Loves a List. Right now, though, we're going to hear from the coordinators. Eric Bieniemy and Steve Spagnuolo met with the media today. We'll get to those. We'll hear from Jalen Watson and Trent McDuffie coming up in the 2 o'clock hour. But here is what Steve Spagnuolo had to say to the media today.
What was kind of going through your mind when Legarius goes down?
Ooh. Well, certainly I was, because it happened right in front of me, and I was very concerned for him. And then when I kind of looked over as he was on the ground, I knew he was pretty shook, so I was concerned for him. But yeah, then it was just get the next guy in there. We adjusted a little bit. I mean, part of the game plan changed. If I'm being truly honest, there were some things we couldn't do after that. But I will say this: the guys that stepped up in there, and then we lost Willie at some point, and Darius went in there and did a great job. But the guys didn't blink. They went out there and executed whatever we called, and that was pretty impressive.
Steve, looking at the whole group of rookies you played, particularly the guys in the secondary, those 4 guys, did you get more from them than you maybe anticipated you would?
In the game, Adam, or in? Yeah. We didn't really know what to expect. I mean, look at when you draft somebody in the first round, there's some higher expectations there. And I feel like Trent has met them in what he's done. And we know he was out for a long stretch too. I always think that's pretty impressive when you miss that much time as a rookie and then you can get back in the swing of things. And Trent has not only played the corner position, but he's played nickel. And the other guys were a little bit unknown, although what we liked about him and what Brett identified was the length and some speed and some traits. And, I think the coaches have done it. Dave Merritt and Donald have done a great job with those guys to get them ready to play. And so haven't the players. I mean, they embraced it. Brian Cook has been tremendous in terms of, he's passionate about football. That's the one thing that stuck out right from the beginning. And we need as many passionate football players on our squad as we can get.
How do you see that with Cook?
What do you mean?
He's a passionate football player. How do you see that?
Yeah, he's one of them guys that eats, drinks, loves it. What I like about him is if I'm standing there talking to someone else in the secondary, he's standing right there listening. Like he's a sponge. He wants it all. He wants to embrace it all. I think that's a good thing, especially at the safety position.
In your initial look at the Eagles' run game between the quarterback and the backs, what makes them so talented, and how do you go about trying to figure out it?
Yeah, the talent is in the players, number one, the scheme, number two. And then when you put a quarterback in there that can do the things he can do, that makes it really tough to defend. I mean, anytime, you're asked to defend, let's not count the offensive line for right now, 6 of them that can run it or can get the ball. It's tougher than just the 5. Some quarterbacks we play are not going to run the football. So you take that out of your thinking. The pass rush is a little bit different. Maybe the edge run support's a little bit different, but when the quarterback can do what this quarterback can do, it brings in a lot more different issues. I mean, you got to be on point with scheme. The player's got to be on point with responsibility. And you can see when that doesn't happen and with people that they play, they expose them.
Coach, I know McDuffie kind of shifts around outside of nickel, but, he stepped in the nickel when Steve was down. Was that originally the plan against the Bengals?
Yeah, he was going to be inside from the beginning, and LJ was going to be outside. It was going to probably stay that way most of the game. There were some things in there where we had LJ moving back inside, but we were out of that the minute LJ got hurt. But Trent had worked inside most of the week. That was kind of the plan.
Steve, everybody knows about Andy's connection to Philadelphia, but
yeah,
your own. I think earlier this year you talked about obviously visiting Big Charlie's, but
yeah.
What do you particularly, appreciate about Philadelphia, and what does that city mean to you?
Well, I married a Philly gal. Maria's from Philly. We still have a place there. So there's a real strong connection. And as far as the Eagles, Jeff Lurie is one of the greatest owners I've ever worked for. And I think Andy will tell you the same thing. From the top down, it's such a strong, good organization. Howie, everybody there. A lot of respect for it. I'm back in Philadelphia quite often. My in-laws live there. And Maria still does some work there. She keeps working because she's a hard worker. So there's a lot of connection, and you're right about the Charlie's Saloon. We love those people over there.
Coach, when you lose a Super Bowl, does it change how you approach this week?
You're talking about having lost the other one. I try not to do some of the things you did when you lost. I think I've been fortunate to be in whether this is 4 or 5, and anytime you do something more and more, I think you get more experience at it. So I think myself and Andy that have been through them, we draw on that experience. I dove into, I'm a journal guy, so I keep journals, and I dove into the journal from 2019 because 2020 was a little different, as we all know, right? We didn't go there for the whole week, or the week before. And there were some things in there, took a look at and said, hey, we'll change this and that. But I'm hoping that can benefit from that, yeah.
Steve, can you describe just the way that the Eagles' version of the RPO pressures?
Yeah, it's there's a lot of college football aspects to it. In any of this RPO option football game, to me, when the quarterback is as good as he is and can always make his play right versus whatever he's seeing, that's really challenging. And there are some quarterbacks, certainly at the college level, that can do RPO, but aren't really good at drop back passing, let's say. But he can do all that. He's pretty well-rounded, and then you add in the ability to make the defense look wrong by pulling it, throwing it, whatever. That makes it real challenging.
Steve, we've seen a lot of good grades from all these places about what Chris did the other night. I wonder internally, how good was he for you guys in your internal grading, and maybe how important is he particularly in winning this next round?
Yeah, I thought Chris was dominant and real disruptive in the pass game we played, and we needed that. That we know how elite that quarterback is. It almost feels like this is the complete reverse of what we're facing now, because it was pretty pass dominated what we just played. This is a little bit more run dominated. Although when you watch the Philadelphia Eagles, they're a very balanced football team in terms of in run and pass. And they're really good at running the football even on third down. But I think Chris, listen, we're glad we have him. He can make a big difference in a lot of things, and he can be disruptive in the run game too. We just got to get in the right spot, and hopefully we got the right defense called against whatever they're running offensively.
Coach, with having Frank, on the end in that zone read game, do you feel like he's kind of the perfect outlier just to kind of disrupt that?
Yeah, I think that, listen, I think all four of our ends with the way we play them have to be dead on against this offense. I once visited with college coaches. When this RPO option game started to make its way into the NFL, I went to college coaches that I knew that were running it, offensive coaches, and asked them what they didn't like to see, what they attacked. And I remember one of them telling me that the first thing they looked at was the ends. How do the ends play? Do they bite? Can you get them to give them a lot of eye candy? They threaten them. They kick them out. They log them. They crack them. The quarterback comes out and runs on them. So I'm hoping our four guys can handle all that, because Philadelphia gives you everything. Give it all.
There was some, talk at the end of the season that tackling gets a little bit more difficult and was a little more challenging, but it wasn't a problem.
Yeah, I thought the guys.
What's kind of key to that?
Maybe there's intent. Maybe what's on the line gets a little bit the guy. But I agree with you. I thought the tackling was really good. It seems like in this league the tackling gets better as the season goes on. We know what it's like at the beginning because you're not doing much of it. Certainly in practice in preseason, and then in the games, our veterans don't play a whole heck of a lot in preseason. So it takes a whole foundation. You can be a corner and go a whole game without really having a tackle. You go 2 games like that, and it's been a while. You get a little rusty, but I think we've had enough of a foundation of facing runs and passes and tackling completions and all that we've gotten better. And I agree with you. I do think they tackled pretty good last week. I hope we do the same thing in this game. We're good. All right. Thanks.
That is what Steve Spagnuolo had to say to the media today. What about Eric Bieniemy? Here's Edie, offensive coordinator.
Eric, what is the biggest challenge you have 3 receivers?
The biggest challenge is making sure we can get lined up, okay? And I have to talk about this because this just goes to show you the growth of this kid. There was a moment in time throughout that game when we threw Sky in the game, and Sky had to play a number of positions. And I was talking to him about a particular play, and he yelled at me and said a few words to me. I'm not going to mumble those words. But it went something like, you just put me in. Just tell me the personnel, and I'm going to make it right. I said, fellas, we're going to be okay. So that was good to see. And the thing is, yes, our guys will be ready, and I'm talking about our players. Our guys are doing a heck of a job of preparing themselves. But we have a tremendous coaching staff who's very, very resilient. And we're going to utilize our best personnel to our advantage so we can go out there and be as effective and efficient as possible.
But you're ready to go against a defense that totals 70 sacks on the regular season. What are some of the challenges for you as an offensive guy to kind of slow down that pass run?
I don't know if you slow them down. You just got to make sure that you find ways to keep the quarterback upright. But, it's going to be a challenge. And, those guys, they do a hell of a job. And, their second wave of guys who they have that coming in are very good. When we're still talking about Ndamukong Suh playing and still playing at a high level, that's very impressive. And so those guys have done an outstanding job all year long. But on top of that, we got 5 guys up front, that take a tremendous amount of pride in keeping our quarterback upright. So they understand the challenge. They know exactly what is expected of them. And this is just one of those games. It's going to be one in the paint. And so whoever's going to knuckle down for 60 consecutive minutes or more and making sure that we're straining the finish, if we're doing those little things, like I said, I like our chances. But is it going to be a challenge? Yes, it is.
You face top defenses. You've had a lot of success. Maybe when you played San Francisco and You had some success against them. What is it about when you're playing another team like the Eagles who have a top-ranked defense? What is it about you guys that just makes you elevate to the extra notch?
Well, it's always about the challenge. And like I said, we know, like I said, 70-plus sacks, these guys are pretty damn good. That's an offensive coordinator's nightmare. But the challenge is just making sure that we're being accountable to one another. And so it's our job as a coaching staff to make sure that we're putting our guys in the right position so they can be at their best. But on top of that, we're going to put ownership on our guys, making sure that they can go out there and effectively go out there and do what they need to do in order for us to get it done. So the accountability, guys understand their roles. They understand that, hey, when we're playing against the best, we have to be at our best. The extra film study has to take place. Always tell them before you leave the building, make sure your heart, mind, body, and soul, make sure you get everything answered, every question that you need addressed or anything that you need done in the weight room or training room, just to make sure that you're giving yourself the best opportunity to be at your best on game day. So I think more than anything, our guys really understand the importance of just being accountable to one another.
Eric, Indy said yesterday that Pat came through the game pretty well. Obviously, you get the extra week, but obviously you're installing the game plan this week. I just wonder, do you feel like the full menu of the playbook is available to you based on how he came through last week's game, or are you still sort of trying to figure out what is obviously good and comfortable for him, obviously his ankle?
I think it's a mix of both, but we want to make sure that everything that we're putting in, that we can bring it into next week's game. And so you guys know Pat. Pat's not going to shy away from anything. And it's our job more than anything to protect him from himself. And so our job is to make sure that we're putting together the right game plan that's going to help us to be at our best. But on top of that, making sure that we're looking out for Pat in the meantime. So we're not going to change anything. We know that Pat will be at his best when his best is needed. You guys know him. He's a competitor. He's not going to shy away from anything.
You've obviously done this week before, but how does this week compare to your preparation and what goes into next week for you?
Well, I mean, next week, well, first of all, this week is huge because we're treating this week just like we're playing a game on Sunday. So today is like a typical Thursday practice for us, a situational day, third down, short yardage, goal line. We're practicing situations, and tomorrow will be like a Friday practice where we do red zone and a review of everything. So we're treating it just like a typical game week as if we were playing on Sunday. And then next week, we hit the reset button. Now it's all about reviewing, making sure that our guys are on the same page. Now it ain't about us basically explaining to them. It's all about those guys making sure that they have a complete understanding of what we want to accomplish. Also understanding the schemes in which we're going to be facing, the coverages in which we're anticipating, the blitzes which we're anticipating seeing. So it's all about making sure that we get everything loaded up in their minds so they're prepared to play this Sunday. But then when we hit that reset button, now everything is just memorization. Hey, here's what I'm expecting. Here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to do it. This is what this guy is doing. So it gives us an additional week.
That is the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, Eric Bieniemy. We'll hear from Jalen Watson and Trent McDuffie, the two corners. Jalen Watson said, we're not rookies anymore. I mean, if you think about it, this will be their 20th game. I mean,
yeah, I'd say they're probably not rookies anymore.
I mean, just 3 years ago, if you played 20 games, you're, most rookies, you're in your fourth game of your second year.
Yeah.
So we'll hear from McDuffie and Watson coming up. But next, everyone loves the list. Those dominant performances when you realize that he's him. Everyone loves a list. Very simple. It is due to a tweet that said, I want to get this specific here. What's the biggest quote, I'm him, end quote, performance ever? What do you got?
Number 4
now,
for me.
Real quick.
Yes.
You had to witness this.
Yes. No,
Okay.
no. I've made my same thing.
Yeah.
I had to witness the moment happen.
Okay.
No, I agree. For me, number 4, Aaron Rodgers, 2014 regular season matchup against the Bears. He threw 6 touchdown passes in the first half. It was 42-0 Green Bay at the half. There are guys that can't throw 6 touchdowns in a whole game. And he sat here and threw 6 in a single half. It was absurd. Absolutely absurd. And I was like, oh, wow, Aaron's that good.
Number 4 for me, first ever game broadcast nationally. LeBron James, senior year, St. Vincent St. Mary's High School in 2002. He single-handedly beat Oak Hill Academy, who was ranked number 1. He dropped 31 points.
Yeah, he did.
Right. I remember watching that going, that dude is the same age as I am. Oh, my gosh. LeBron versus Oak Hill when he was a senior in high school. That was incredible.
Number 3 for me, also a LeBron James moment, but this is his 2012 game in the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 6, facing elimination against Boston. 45 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists. Just staring down the barrel of elimination in the second year of what was supposed to be a dynasty in Miami, and he just single-handedly obliterates Boston.
Number 3 for me, it's the most dominant defensive performance I've ever seen in my entire life. They lost the game 13-12, but Ndamukong Suh almost beat Texas all by himself in the Big 12 title game in 2009. He destroyed everyone. That was incredible. 13-12, they lost, but Ndamukong Suh pretty much stopped Texas by himself.
Ndamukong Suh is very good in college.
Yeah.
Like, so incredibly good. I think it's forgotten sometimes. Number 2 for me, one of my first core golf watching memories. 2008 U.S. Open, Tiger Woods.
2008?
If I got the year wrong, I do apologize. The U.S. Open, he won on one leg.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
If I got the year wrong, I do apologize.
I think that was 2000. I think that was 2007.
It might have been 7.
Was it
Either
8?
way? The U.S. Open.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if I got the year wrong,
That's a good one.
Yeah, he won it on one leg.
Okay. Number 2 for me, Kevin Durant versus KU in 2007. When Danny Manning goes, man, that might be one of the most bad boys to ever walk on that court. You know that dude legit.
Yes.
Kevin Durant, and he dropped 37.
Oh, yeah.
In a loss.
Number 1 for me is very easy. Patrick Mahomes' divisional round match against Buffalo. That was the greatest pure quarterback performance ever.
Mine, Tiger Woods, but it was in 97 at Augusta.
I was
when
1 year
he lapped the field. I remember watching that going, golf will never be the same. That will be our I'm Him. Hit us up on our Big O Tires text line, 785-272-9429. Coming up next, we got a little update on Big 12 basketball. Impressive I'm him performances in the world. I didn't put Mahomes down, but honestly, if I could pick a play for Mahomes that I would go, damn, he that dude. It wouldn't be the play that most people think.
Okay.
It wouldn't. Like when I think of that, like the ones that come to mind were dominant performances that showed you that they're that guy.
Mhm.
That's why Durant in college, when he dropped 37, in a loss, mind you, in a loss. But people remember that game because Durant dropped 37. Do you know how good you got to be to people remember the game that you performed and lost?
No.
That's how good you got to be.
Mhm.
Same thing in Ndamukong Suh.
Yeah.
All right. You know, the Derek Thomas 7-sack game.
Yeah.
I saw that as well. But a couple of those. Like Jordan, we were, I was even maybe too young for Jordan when you knew he was going to be different, you know, like in the late 80s.
Mhm.
You know, I remember him winning every one of his NBA titles. I do. I remember the one against Byron Scott and Magic, and then the Shrug, that type of thing. But by that time, you already knew that Jordan was that dude. So I didn't, you know, get to see that. If you're a Jordan fan, you obviously know that. But the Patrick Mahomes game, you said, see, I knew Patrick Mahomes was that guy even before last year's divisional round game. That's why I did not include that one.
Mhm.
If I would include a Mahomes one, it wasn't a game. It was one throw. Atlanta. Preseason.
When he just unleashed,
I think it was like a 670-yard pass.
I think it was 70. It was just uncorked.
You know what play I'm talking about?
I know
right?
to a T the exact thing you're talking
rolls out to his left and then stops.
Then
and goes,
stops and
yeah!
chucks that
Yeah.
baby. Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. No, that was the first time I was like, oh, the Chiefs got something different here. No, that was my first. That was my first thought.
It was a 69-yard touchdown pass to Tyreek Hill, and I just pulled it up here on the good old YouTube. But that is when I go, yo, he different.
Yeah.
He's not he that guy. That is the one. Because they're going to
that throw was elite.
Rolls out and then just steps up in the pocket and goes, "Wah!" and just chucks it, and Tyreek Hill catches it at the 5-yard line and walks into the end zone. That, forget the game. That is when I knew that Patrick Mahomes
gonna be a little different.
He's him. Like that's why, and that was a preseason game.
Mm-hmm.
That play got talked about more than anything else in the Chiefs preseason game. Oh, by the way, Tyreek Hill, just watched the replay of it. He did not go full Hingle McCringleberry. Just two. Just two.
You get two.
He got two.
You're allowed two.
Yeah. I he did do that. He got in the end zone and did the Yeah, that's the play that will be for me when he started everything. And then he sat the entire year. And then if you want to go with an actual throw in a game, I think it was his very first completion. He threw an absolute seed up the hash to Demetrius Harris. And I thought to myself, man, Alex Smith had done that all damn year. I want to say that's what it was. Denver versus KC in 2018. I want to say that was his first ever completion.
I still remember as you listen.
Oh, it would have been 2017, Jake.
So,
Ninny.
What I remember.
I'm going to look this up here.
Yeah. My first experience watching Patrick Mahomes and really being impressed with his talent was when he was at Texas Tech. And it was the first game that I ever in my life did play-by-play for. When I was working for KU, is a Texas Tech came to town to Lawrence, play KU. Watching that man throw in person, And the things he did that I'm just like, okay, you can't do that. And he did it was just, it's also a game. By the way, KU almost won that game. I just want to remind everybody of that. They almost won that game. But no, watching that was just incredible. That was my first foray to be like, oh, this boy different.
1st and 10. His very first play. 1st and 10. Incomplete pass. 2nd and 10. Incomplete pass. 3rd and 10 from the Kansas City 14-yard line. Patrick Mahomes pass deep middle to D. Harris for 51 yards. Like that, this first ever real play in a game. He threw that. I'm sure we can find it on YouTube. But that's the play that actually counted.
I still remember during the 2018 season, his first year as a starter, couple games in, and my fear of 3rd and 20s went away.
Yeah,
like that was my first run. Like, oh, we have some real specialists. Like, I think there's a play that forced the Chiefs into like a 3rd and 20, and they converted. And I was like, we don't have to be afraid of those anymore. I was like, now just like, oh, it's 3rd and 1,000,000. They could still figure it out because you have that guy. Still, that 2021 divisional game was the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. A picture perfect game.
2020?
2021.
Oh, 2021. Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Also, a Super Bowl performance, even when they lost to Tampa Bay. Still had some fun stuff. That man nearly completed a pass horizontal.
Yeah. Well, it should have been.
It was Spencer Ware?
No, it was it?
It's a running back.
I thought it was Darrell Williams.
It was Darrell.
Yeah.
It was Darrell. I can never remember who played when. Yeah, it hit Darrell in the face mask. Because live, you thought it was just a tremendous attempt, but, shouldn't have been completed. Then they showed the replay of it, like, going through Darrell's hands and hitting him in the face mask. And I got mad. I was like, you deprived the world of that big a touchdown where Patrick Mahomes was Superman horizontal. Man, Mahomes tried to make some throws in that game that so many of them were drops, and still saddens me to this day. Because that man had some wicked throws in that Super Bowl loss to Tampa that get forgotten because his receivers didn't catch the ball. There's a dot he threw to Tyreek Hill left sideline for a touchdown. I think the first drive. And Tyreek jumped up and dropped it and would have been a tud.
Yeah.
Still sad about it to this day.
I'm with you. Let's get to a little Big 12 hoops this weekend. We're going to hear from Jalen Watson and Trent McDuffie coming up in the 2:00 hour, another edition of On Second Thought. But the Big 12 slate this weekend, low key, it's not getting a lot of attention around here because of the Super Bowl that is going to be happening. And it's a surprise because normally you'd think it'd be next week, not, with the Super Bowl being not this coming Sunday. But if you look at the games this Saturday, tomorrow, it's a huge one for both KU and K-State, but I think even more important for the Texas Longhorns. And the reason I bring this up is right now in Big 12 play, Texas is up by a game. Okay.
Yep.
Texas is 7-2. Credit to them. Chris Beard gets fired and they're still rolling right along.
Yeah. That's credit to the Texas Longhorns.
Yes. They're 7-2. They can be 2 games up on Kansas State with 8 games to go if they beat Kansas State. But if KU goes on the road and loses to Iowa State in Hilton, I wonder if I think Iowa State's going to be favored in that game.
I could see it. It was a 2-point game in Lawrence.
I bet you that line is out right now because they play at 11.
Hey, they do play at 11 a.m. tomorrow. It's an early tip. Thank God I'm already going to be awake. And no, 11 a.m. is usually I'm to everybody while Jay lifts up. I'm often awake by 11 a.m. on the weekends. I'm not that much of a gremlin, but I get my sleep back on the weekends, and I also stay up late. I'm not Brendan levels of stay up late, but I stay up late. But I will be awake by that time doing other stuff. So be fully engaged for KU at Iowa State.
KU and Iowa State, the line is out. What do you think it is?
Clones by 2.
Iowa State favored by 1.5.
Ooh, I was close.
By 1.5. That is your line right now.
I will also say this: take the under.
There are 4 teams in the Big 12 that are 6-3. Iowa State, TCU, K-State, KU, and then you got Texas at 7-2. It's really those 5 teams, which is incredible. But if KU loses on the road at Iowa State, and all honestly things point to Iowa State winning at home because that's what they've done.
Yeah.
They play different at home.
Been very good at Hilton.
If Iowa State loses, or if Iowa State wins and Texas wins, that means Texas is going to be 8-2 and KU and K-State will be 2 games back of Texas with 8 games to play. That's a tall task from keeping Texas from winning the league. Now, it's not impossible because KU does play Texas twice. K-State would have split with Texas. I don't think TCU is going to factor into the title. I don't think Iowa State will factor in to the Big 12 title. I think your Big 12 champion will come from Texas, Kansas, and Kansas State. I really do. I think TCU will probably lose a game here or there. I don't think Baylor's going to hold on. They've already got 4 losses. They still have to play KU, and they got to play K-State. I think they have to play Texas again already, if I'm not mistaken.
Who?
Baylor.
I believe.
I think because I don't think Baylor's played Texas twice. No, they have not. So that's why I think Baylor is not going to. I think it's going to come down to KU, K-State, and Texas. But if K-State beats Texas, you're now tied atop the league with 10 games to go. Or with 8 games to go. That's why, low-key, this is a huge matchup for both KU and K-State. For K-State, I don't think you can outscore Texas this time. I think this Texas team has gotten better defensively. So if I am K-State, you better not hope that this is a 116 to 103 type of game. That's why I look at Texas and is K-State and Texas. They play at 3.
Yes.
On Saturday. Is that game out yet? It is. Who do you suppose the favorite is in that one?
Give me Horns by 1.5.
K-State is a 1.5 point favorite.
Ooh. I was right on the points. That's wrong. Which team they favored?
K-State is favored. So the road teams in this situation are both favored by 1.5 points.
The home teams are both favored by 1.5 points.
Is that what I said?
You said road.
Oh, yeah. The home teams are favored.
I knew what you meant, but I wanted to just clear that up.
Yeah. So that.
And that's about where I think it should sit for K-State, Texas. I mean, K-State won the first round, but Texas is going to play better. But K-State plays really well at Bramlage. Haven't lost at home yet this year. 1.5's, I think, pretty proper. Same thing for KU, Iowa State. I mean, KU won by 2 at Allen, and they're playing much better than I think they were even playing back then. But Iowa State plays better. Like, I think both lines are proper. If I had any advice to give, it truly would be take the under for KU, Iowa State. That is that Iowa State defense, and it's an 11 a.m. tip.
I don't know what the under is. It's not up yet.
Whenever the total comes out, take the under.
No.
When the total comes out, take the under. Kids never, the offense never exists for those 11 a.m. tips. Never.
I have no idea with this. If I would not bet on any one of these games.
I wouldn't touch either of those lines with the 10-foot pole.
I would not touch the money line because I really do think it's a coin flip in this situation.
I agree.
If I had to choose, I would take Texas to win. I think Texas will beat Kansas State because I think right now Texas is playing well, and I think defensively, I'm going to go with Texas on the road. And I think you can get some value with that as well. But I'd take Texas to win, and I'm going to take KU to win because I don't quite know if Iowa State is as consistent as they should be. Here's what Iowa State has done their last 3 games. They're 2-1. Lost to Oklahoma State by 2, beat Kansas State by 4, lost to Missouri by 7, and then blew a gigantic lead to Texas Tech. They have lost 3 of 4, and they are a home favorite over the Kansas Jayhawks. So I would take KU to win that game, but something tells me there's a reason why they lost those games. Oklahoma State, Missouri, Texas Tech on the road.
Yeah, I think Vegas believes they are an entirely different team when they get to play at home.
Different beast at home. But if I had to choose, K-State, they have to play better defense. You just as a whole, you can't, and Texas can go right now. And then for Iowa State, if Iowa State is very streaky, but I think using that home advantage for KU, for me, their key is it's Dwan Harris, man. If Dwan Harris scores, they're almost unbeatable. They really.
If Harris and Kevin McCullough are in any semblance of helping you,
I don't think it's even McCullough because I think McCullough. I think McCullough. Yeah. I think he had his little rough patch. I think McCullough will get you something every single game. I think it was more of an anomaly the game against K-State early on. I think it's more so about Harris.
That's fair. That's a fair point.
I think it's more so about Harris. So that's what I would have to go with. Yeah, can be a good one. Coming up, we'll finish off this 1 o'clock hour. We'll get to Jalen Watson and Trent McDuffie to start 2 o'clock hour. Rock Hour here on Mic'd Up. I did not realize this. Andy Reid. What's Andy Reid's record all time when the Chiefs played the Eagles, and then when the Eagles, when he was the head coach, playing the Chiefs?
I think they're with the Chiefs. Now I gotta remember how many times they've probably played Philly. I'm gonna say he's 3-0 against the Eagles with the Chiefs.
Okay.
Eagles versus Chiefs. I'm gonna say 3-0 both ways. You know what? I'm gonna go with that.
So what's his record?
So it'd be, I mean, like he was 3-0 against the Chiefs with the Eagles, 3-0 against the Eagles with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Like that you can't combine that.
Yeah, you do. He'd be 6-0. He'd never lost to.
I guess yes.
Yeah, that's what he is. Yeah, he is. He's 3-0 versus the Eagles as the Chiefs head coach, and when he was the head coach of the Eagles, he also was 3-0 against the Chiefs. So he's never lost facing the team that he coached or will be coaching. How about that?
Nifty.
Good vibes there, right? Will the one loss be the biggest game?
I hope not.
The Super Bowl?
I really
How
hope
about
not.
that, though? He's 3-0. They smacked the Eagles last year, but we're going to talk more about that. That one doesn't count, folks.
No, it doesn't
count. Coming up, we're going to hear from the two DB rookies. Hour of Mic'd Up on this Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. Jake LeBon, Fulton Caster with you. Hit us up on our Big O Tires text line, 785-272-9429. Simple and easy. Follow us on Twitter at SportsOn580. Check us out on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. Go to youtube.com, type in Sports on 580. You'll see the image, very easy. Click the subscribe. You can watch us as well on our website, 580 WIBW. Interact with the comments section, if you will. Let us know your thoughts today. We're going to hear from Jalen Watson and Trent McDuffie coming up here in just a second. We're going to talk about what's at stake for the Chiefs and kind of this era all time as well. Will you buy any Super Bowl gear before the game, or will you wait until they win it or lose it? If they don't win it, do you just buy nothing? What will you do?
I will probably buy nothing.
Even if they win it?
Yeah. I've never really been a big memorabilia guy. Like, I didn't buy anything when they won the Super Bowl the first time around. I've never bought anything from KU's 2 national titles. I personally didn't buy anything for the Royals World Series. My dad did. Like, if someone buys me stuff for that and gives me as a gift, I'll gladly take it. But I just have never. I don't have a lot of disposable income. That's why I don't. I try to be very particular about what I spend money on.
Okay.
I fail at that way more often than I would like.
But you haven't failed on it buying gear that, your teams have won.
Yeah. Like, because for me, the joy I get out of it is just all about the moments and the memories of the game. Like, I don't need a Chiefs Super Bowl 54, any piece of memorabilia, to always be able to access the memories I have of that day and how I felt.
Don't they like I got a hoodie, I got a hat, I got a pennant.
Yeah.
For Christmas that year, my wife got me one of those collages.
Ooh, nice.
That's got all the headlines and everything.
Yeah. And all that this as well. Like, for the Royals, I went to that parade. That's still to this day the only victory parade I've gotten to. I don't know if I'll go to another, because once you've been to one, I mean, also that was just an absolute mess. And I don't know if I'd ever want to do that again. Plus, they usually run parades during a weekday, and I'm kind of busy during weekdays now.
Good. That means that's perfect, because when the Chiefs win the Super Bowl on February the 12th,
don't you dare leave me for that.
And the parade is on either Tuesday or Wednesday. Good. You'll be here, because then I will go to the parade. Yes.
I have no say here. Executive privilege.
Sweetie, we're heading to the parade.
But no, like, this year might be different because this is a year where, like, I have a full-time job now.
Okay.
This is the first championship where I feel like a full-time job and more disposable income.
I'm going to say that.
In college, I was very picky on what I spent
I'm going to tell you this right now, Fulton. If the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, I will buy you some type of Super Bowl 57
Got the number right.
Memorabilia or something.
And see, I wouldn't say no to that. I would gladly take it.
I will. See,
I rarely say no to gifts.
I am. Well, you adhere to my knowledge. I'm never too good for free.
Yes.
So
I'm very similar to that. Never too good for free.
So I am the opposite. I won't
you want all the stuff.
I want all the stuff.
Yeah.
I became a Sports Illustrated subscriber because of not subscriber. I bought the Sports Illustrated deal when I got the magazine the magazine cover and all that, the commemorative issue. Bought that, which came with the hat. I bought the hoodie. I still have the hoodie. My wife's like, "That wait a minute, that's from when they won the World Series." I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "When was that? 2015?" She goes, "That you still have a hoodie from 2015?" I was like, "We ain't ever getting rid of that thing." By the way,
I will say this: one of my favorite pieces of memorabilia that I do in fact own is the mini replica World Series trophy that my dad bought me for the Royals, because that's my favorite team among everything. See, it's my favorite sport. That's different.
Now I got a pennant for the Royals and for the Chiefs down in our basement. So if they don't win, I will not buy anything. If they win, I will get all the stuff. Yes, I am that guy.
And I will just also say, I don't blame anyone. Like, I don't cast aspersions on anyone that is that way. Like, if you want all your memorabilia for your team's championships, go for it. Like when the Avalanche won the Stanley Cup for Dan, and Dan was, we were always chatting about just all the Stanley Cup merch he was getting for the Avs. Like, one, if your team hasn't won in a while, that's one thing. Two, it's just, if you want to deck out and get a bunch of stuff to remember your team winning a title, do it. Please do. Enjoy it the way you want to enjoy it. I just don't ever seek it out. Yeah. Partially because I've never been in a situation where I really have money to spend on that kind of stuff. And two, I just have the memory, like every single time one of my teams has won a championship, which isn't a lot, but enough that I have multiple memories. I remember everything I was doing the day they won the title.
Yeah.
Like, I could tell you exactly where I was when the Royals got the final out of the 2015 World Series. I remember pretty much my entire day of Super Bowl 54. KU's national title that they just won this past year. I remember that pretty well. I remember the 2008 national title and what I was doing on that game for KU.
Well, I remember that one too, because in 2008 we were because I just graduated college.
Yeah, you were fresh out of college.
In December, I graduated, and I said, "We're heading to Lawrence. So we
go
to
party,
Lawrence,
boy."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, the 2008 national title. I remember watching that with my mom
because you were 8.
I was 12.
Don't act like I was way far off.
You were off by 4 years. I was born in 96, so I was 12 in 2008. No, but
you were, because you're a January baby.
Yeah,
you're right.
No,
you're right.
I was it's a nice benefit with how early my birthday is. Just whatever the year is, it's truly just out of the age.
Yep.
But no, my mom, who graduated from KU before, I think it was before the final couple minutes before it went to overtime.
And you drove to Lawrence and partied?
We did not. No, she walked out of the room before Mario Chalmers shot that tied the incident to. She walked out. She could not watch it. And we all started cheering in the living room, and she came back and was like, "What happened?" I'm like, "That happened." Yeah. And then she watched all overtime. That's why I remember those Nate games so well.
Well, I'm gonna get you something, because you gotta
say no.
You gotta have something there, man. Oh yeah, I won't buy anything if they lose. Give me all of it if they win.
Fair enough.
Let's hear from Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson. Here is what Trent McDuffie had to say today when he met with the media. And this is interesting because he talks about getting hurt down in Arizona, the first game coming back. And I think because he didn't play, for those 7 games, he didn't get the love nationally on how good he is playing, I think the Chiefs got a good one in Trent McDuffie. But here's what McDuffie had to say today.
Bring up, bad memory, but week 1,
Yep.
you get hurt, you're going back to that stadium. I just want to know what your emotions were. First game as a rookie, you can't finish it, then you lose a bunch of weeks of playing time. How did you get through that?
Yeah, that was honestly one of the hardest things I've had to do just in sports. I never had an injury that affected me for such a long period and disabled me pretty much for so long. So during that process, I think the biggest thing that helped me was just sticking to the consistency of just the everyday, going to meetings, showing up to practice, just acting like I was playing every week, but just the positivity that was surrounded by me, whether it was family and friends, whether it was coming into this building with coaches and players, just constantly lifting me up. They really just allowed me to stay confident through the whole thing and come back like I never left.
Trent, looking back on your rookie year, the injury aside, this season, how would you say this season met your expectations, equaled your expectations? You had bigger expectations. How would you put it?
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like this season was a huge learning curve for me, especially getting hurt and then missing a bunch of games and coming back halfway through the season. For me, it was just trying to learn something each and every week, each and every day, because as rookies coming in, we don't really know the game. We don't know the speed of it. A lot of things are new to us, scheduling wise, all the way to football. So trying to just keep an open mind, trying to just constantly learn from the vets, learn from other rookies, was something that I took pride in this year. And I think is the reason why it's helped me so much just throughout the year, consistently getting better, because I just felt like it was my duty to try to match everybody else as quickly as possible when I came back. So that's kind of just how I wired myself throughout the season.
Trent, we've asked you about this during the season, but you guys are 4 rookies, especially when LJ went down.
Yeah.
Shining on such a big stage. What does it mean that you guys in your first year are able to do this even leading into it?
Yeah, it's special, especially since, you can understand what it took for us to get here. Coming in as a huge group, knowing that there was a lot of obligations, a lot of things that these guys wanted out of us. And we kind of just took and ran with it. Everybody came together. I remember in OTAs, there was so many days where at the end of the night, it was just all the rookies together, just going over and over and over, playbook language, because to us, it was all new. It was difficult, Spags playbook. But I think the biggest thing was just we just continued to push each other and continue to just be those guys to be like, you know what, we got your back. Yeah, you may have a bad play, you may make a mistake out there, but at the end of the day, it's a brotherhood, and I think we really all just stuck together really well.
Was it just rookies in the room, or were you with a veteran or a coach or something?
No, that was just rookies. That was just the rookie all defense. I mean, linebackers, D-line, DBs, just coming together and being like, we got to learn this before practice tomorrow, because practice was hectic because nobody knew what we were doing. So we were like, we got to come together and figure this out before we go out there so we can actually do something for the team.
Who led that study group? Or something that y'all collectively came together and said, we got to do this?
Yeah. Honestly, it was kind of just everybody was like, we need to do this. I feel like it really just talks about just the character that all these guys have. Everybody kind of came in with the same mindset that you don't really get all the time. It was just like, you know what, we're here together, so let's go do this together. And shoot, it's been working out really great for us.
Adding on to that, Trent, what about the bond or the relationship where you feel like you learned about your teammates the most? Maybe as people than just obviously football players.
Yeah, wait, repeat that one more time.
What do you feel like you learned most about your rookie teammates as people?
Yeah.
Just obviously.
Yeah. Honestly, something that I learned very early on is that everybody here is very accepting. No matter who you are, the person that you came here as, your character, everybody was just like, you know what, that's you, it's cool. Like, we accept you for you. And everybody also does a good job of just teaching each other, communicating, saying, yo, maybe I'll do this in this situation. And one thing that I took that, honestly, in college I didn't do much, but a lot of the rookies asked a lot of questions to the vets and the coaches. And I feel like that really helped just overall development of the game. I was one of those kids who didn't like to talk a lot, wasn't the one to jump in front of the classroom and ask all these questions, but just being in a group where questions are constantly asked, you kind of adapt to it, and kind of broke me out of my shell, and it's helped me tremendously.
What kind of credit do you guys give to Coach Merritt? He was singing all of your praises, called you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
early on in camp. Just what's he been like for you throughout this entire process?
Yeah. I mean, shoot, Coach Merritt's been kind of just like that big brother, that father figure who has to take all these young guys with all these different mindsets and ambitions and get them all on the same page to go out there and play as one. And I think he did a great job at just allowing the vets to really take control of the room and not have him up there and just be like, this is me, but be like, this is y'all team. I'm here to show you, lead you the way, and provide help. But he really just allowed us to be us. And I think that's the best thing he could have done for us.
We know Philly's dynamic, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert. What do you see as the X factor in slowing them down? In your opinion?
Yeah, I think one is going to be stopping the run. I think a big thing we have to do is just tackle. You know, a big thing in this game, missed tackles can lead to leaky yardage, and that's what Spags really talks about, especially in these later games. But I think it's just come down to just making plays on the ball at the end of the day. We know the ball is going to be – Jalen Hurts is going to take his shots. They have good receivers who can make plays, so it's going to be on the back end to stop the ball when they throw it.
Trent McDuffie and Steve Spagnuolo more, I guess, who listens to the show. I mean, we were talking about tackling. In the game against the Bengals, they tackled well. They really, really did. Did not let Burrow escape, got the runners down, not a lot of yards after the catch. They tackled very, very well. I mean, no other what other conclusion can you get?
They had to listen to me yell at their tackling for 4 weeks.
It's got to be the reason.
Had to be.
Jalen Watson, the other rookie corner. They got 3 of them. We didn't hear from Josh Williams. Here is what Jalen Watson had to say to the media today.
Jalen, you're not a rookie anymore. I guess that's the MO now. Do you agree with that? You don't feel like a rookie anymore?
Yeah, that's what the coaches told us ever since the postseason's been here. All the rookies been thrown in the fire pretty early in the season, so the game's a lot slower to us. We've developed a lot. We learned the playbook, moving a lot faster.
What have the veterans told you about this week and trying to block out distractions?
The same thing has been all playoffs, just focus on what's going on in the building, try to stay off social media and not, listen to what all the critics got to say.
There's a sequence at the end of the first half where you kept Higgins in bounds, the clock kept rolling, and the very next play you defended the fade in his direction. Can you walk us through that and why you were ready for that moment?
Yeah, I know they're going to try to get out of bounds if they did make a big play. The play clock, the rest of the half, the time was limited. So he caught a ball, and I seen him trying to get out of bounds. So my intuition just kicked in and tried to keep him in bounds. And the next play, I knew they're going to try to hurry up and make a play, take a shot in the end zone. So play outside leverage on the fade, made a play on the ball.
Jalen, took your portion of the season with the broken hand. Just how tough was that to push through, and how do you feel like you were able to make so many big plays?
It wasn't that tough, It's a moment I dreamed of, so anything I could do to help the team, get a win, I'll try my best, and that's what I did. The training staff, they did a great job, helping me with my hand, and once I step on the field, I'm just ready to play.
Spags talked about what a big part of the game plan Legarius was going to be. When he goes down, what was kind of going through your mind, and what's your conversation with your fellow defensive backs about how you kind of hold together?
Yeah, we got confidence in the whole cornerback room, and LJ is a great corner. He leads us, and we just knew it was going to be next man up. So Josh stepped in. He did a great job, and he was ready.
How much do you and your other rookie teammates relish the feeling of being able to be on such a big stage where it is the 4 of you guys now, both in the AFC battle and the league?
What rookies? No, I'm just playing. But it's a great feeling, playing at the biggest stage, our first year. But like I said, this is what we all dreamed of since we were kids. So we just take it one play at a time. Don't get too high, don't get too low.
I know there's a lot of talk about Philadelphia's offense. You guys have gotten a little bit of a look at what they're doing now. A lot of pressure on the linebackers and defensive linemen in the quarterback run game, but probably a little bit for you guys as well on reading those RPOs. Just give us a little synopsis of what maybe different responsibilities you'll have this week compared to like last week when it's pretty much just going to be a passing offense.
Yeah, it's just going to be important everyone do their job. It's just as simple as that. They got a great receiving core, great O-line, just a great overall team, top to bottom. So we're going to come in, everyone do their job, fly around, have fun, let the rest handle itself.
Jalen, what makes Dave Merritt a good coach, in your
His leadership on and off the field, trying to make us better men, and he always preaches all the vets and all the rookies, we hold each other accountable. So that's a big thing, and he's just a great, outgoing, loud dude. You always hear him when you walk in the room, but he's a great dude.
Where do you feel like your accountability had to be applied most this season?
Just doing my job. I was thrown in the fire early. Everything was happening so fast, but I learned the importance of just doing my 111 on the defense, and everything would take place.
Jalen, not a rookie, but in your first year in the league, you're in the Super Bowl and contributing well to your team. I mean, how does it feel just soaking it all in?
I haven't really taken a look at it yet. I mean, I'm just so caught in the moment of just winning because that's the standard they set in this program. But after the season's over, I'll take a look back at it all, soak it all in. But right now, just putting my head down, trying to get a win each and every week.
Jalen Watson, not a rookie anymore, he says. It's going to be game number 20 for him. Where did he go to college?
Do you know?
Yes.
Washington State.
Yeah, he went to Washington State.
Cougs. Nothing but love for my beloved Cougars of Washington State.
How about the starting corners for the Kansas City Chiefs are
Pac-12ers
in the state of Washington and Washington State. How about that?
Got a couple Pac-12ers. You got wherever the heck Louisiana Tech is playing nowadays. Conference USA?
Sunbelt?
I truly don't know. Wherever the heck Louisiana Tech's playing now, that's where L'Jarius Sneed went to.
Yeah.
Got our D2 representing with Joshua Williams. That was Fayetteville State?
Yeah, Fayetteville. Yeah, D2 repping. Conference USA. They are Conference USA.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, they got out of the Fun Belt. Now they're in Conference USA.
Yeah, those are your main corners. Yeah. You got your safeties, one from the Pac-12, one from the ACC. Because Juan Thornhill went to Virginia and Justin Reed went to Stanford, I believe.
Where'd Brian Cook go?
Cincinnati.
There we go. Not a lot of...
Nick Bolton from Missouri, Willie Gay from Mississippi State, Chris Jones, Mississippi State, Derek Nottie, Florida State, Karlaftis, Purdue, Frank Clark, Michigan, Colin Saunders, NC-A&T?
No.
Western Illinois?
Yeah.
Western Illinois.
Is it Illinois? I don't know if it's West or Eastern or West. It's the purple school.
Yeah. That's why I thought NC-A&T, but
Yeah.
I think I also might even get NC-A&T's colors wrong.
Yeah. Dana, also Michigan.
Yep, Dana, Michigan.
Dunlop. Oh, shoot. Where did Carlos?
Hold on. I know this.
Florida.
Yeah. Florida.
Yeah. Went to Florida.
Leo Chanel, Wisconsin. Darius Harris will openly admit, no idea. He might be the only member of the defense that I don't know where he went. So where did Darius Harris go?
Darius Harris.
Is he a Florida State guy?
He is. Oh, yeah. You could have given me a never would have got this. Ready? They are the Pirates.
Eastern Carolina?
Nope.
Hold on.
I think they're the Pirates.
Yeah. I think Eastern Carolina is.
Yeah, but I'm thinking, is this?
If you can give me the mascot, I kind of want to see if I can do
No,
this.
I was wrong. They're not.
Okay, what's their mascot?
The Blue Raider.
Excuse me?
That's what it says here.
Hampton.
Middle Tennessee.
Oh, Middle Tennessee State. The Blue Raiders.
The Blue Raiders. That's I never would have
Middle
thought that.
Tennessee.
Yep.
Okay.
And yeah.
Yeah, he's the one that I can't remember. Everyone else I surprisingly can't. I don't know why.
Murfreesboro.
I am slightly proud of the amount of Chiefs players so I can name where they went to college.
Murfreesboro. There you go. Coming up next, we've got another edition of On Second Thought. Thought I'll start this one out this week. This week's been kind of wild because one, it doesn't feel like Friday. Absolutely doesn't in my mind. And KU and K-State played just on Tuesday.
Yeah.
It feels like forever ago. Forever ago. It does. That feels like they played like 3 games. They haven't even played a game since then.
No.
But it feels like it's been so long. But my on second thought, I thought K-State was gonna keep her close. Thought this year's a little different. I thought 8.5 points was too many. I thought K-State they're gonna keep it close. Still lost by double figures. K-State, I need to keep things consistent, and that is when K-State has a good team, they normally beat KU in Manhattan. When they have a good team, they haven't had a good team in a while.
Yeah,
that's why last year when they played, even though they were up, they didn't have a good team.
Yeah.
So who won?
KU.
When they have a good team, they normally win in Manhattan here the last couple of years. Really think about that.
Yeah.
And when K-State plays in Allen Fieldhouse, they get trucked.
Yep.
Got to remember that for the future.
Yeah. Probably help you. Help the gambling.
Got to remember that. So
yeah, that was also my bad too.
That would be my on second thought, that I thought K-State, that it was going to be a much closer game than it was. I mean, they had a chance to get it to within 8, but really it wasn't that tight.
Yeah, it was, and I second that because I also was big on it's 8.5. That's too many points. Take the Cats.
And I believe you did wager on.
I did. No, I lost money on that game. I will admit it. I had money on K-State plus 8.5. I lost money because I thought 8.5 points is far too big. And I was wrong. We got so close near the end of that game. We were flirting with it, and then DeJuan Harris hit like 3 straight layups. It hurt. No, my on second thought refers to the Jayhawks. I honestly thought they'd really struggle with Kentucky on Saturday.
Yeah, you were
I
big
emotionally
wrong there,
I was
man.
terrified.
They didn't have a single second chance point. You thought
I know. I was petrified.
You thought Oscar Sheba was going to have 18 offensive rebounds.
I thought Oscar Sheba was going to eat. I was wrong. Happily wrong. I will add, happily wrong. But no, I did not think KU would handle Kentucky as well as they did because of how well Kentucky was playing. And in addition to how much KU struggled to rebound the ball against Baylor. Like, it just seemed to be a perfect storm of things that will lead to either a close win for KU or a Kentucky victory. But I forgot Bill Self just does not lose 4 games in a row. That just doesn't happen. It stops at 3. That's the most you get. You get 3. And then KU has to win again. But yeah, I will take the L on that. Happily.
I wanted to go back to if K-State has a good team, do they win in Manhattan half the time? And so, would you consider this year's K-State team a good team?
Yes.
Okay. They won. So they're 1 for 1. All right. Let's keep track of this. Would you consider they were good last year?
Nope.
Okay. Would you consider they were good in 2020 and 2021?
Nope.
No, because they went 9-20. Would you consider they were good in 19 and 20?
That was also a bad year, right?
Yeah, they went 11-21.
That's about that.
So they were not good then. Okay. Would you consider it a good year in 2018, 2019?
I think that was a good team.
Very good team. They won the Big 12 that year.
That was that team.
Okay, so 2018, 2019,
good team.
they would have played, that would have been what? January, February of 2019.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Yes. Yeah. It would have been February 2019. They won. So they're 2 for 2. When they've had a good team, they've won in Manhattan. Okay. Would you consider them to be good in 2017, 2018?
I think that team was also good.
That was when they went to the Elite Eight.
Yep, that counts. That's a good team.
They went 10-8. So that would have been in 2018. Manhattan, January 2019, 2018. They lost. Okay. So they are 2 for 3. So 2-1, K-State is. And then they were they went to 3 straight tournaments.
Yeah,
so that counts. That'd been January of 2017. February of 2017. They lost 74-71, close game. So we're 2 for 4, or 2-2.
Yeah.
So we're at basically 50% at this moment when K-State was good.
Yeah.
Like those were tournament teams. When K-State is a tournament team, because it looks like they're going to be a tournament team this year.
Oh, yeah.
They are 2-2 against Kansas in Manhattan. How about that? So it's about a coin flip. When K-State has a good team.
About winning in Manhattan.
About winning in Manhattan. Oh, I learned that today.
I'm proud of you.
The other time that K-State won, that was 2015 of February. So that would have been the back half of 2015. They were not good. They did not make the tournament that year, but they beat KU that year.
Good for them.
So there you go. Coming up next, what's on stake for Super Bowl 57? Outside of the fact that I will have to get Fulton some type of memorabilia. We will get to that coming up next. and for defenders, even more so. The NFL plans active offseason conversation about eliminating hip drop tackles. The hip drop tackle got a lot of pub on AFC, beg your pardon, divisional round weekend. Perfect example for hip drop tackles were the Tony Pollard play that he got hurt, where you kind of wrap up and then you just
kind of drop,
fall to the ground, and that's where you get bent underneath or your leg gets caught underneath. And then Patrick Mahomes' ankle, where you grab him and then you just kind of fall down. Apparently, they're going to have a conversation about it. Dr. Alan Sills, the NFL's chief medical officer, said today that the techniques used on those tackles, in which the defender grabs the ball carrier from behind and then pulls him down while dropping the tackler's own body to the ground, could be eliminated. It was banned by the National Rugby League in Australia because of the injuries it caused. According to Sills and the Washington Post, I think it'll be a very active conversation to look at the mechanisms. Obviously, the hip drop tackle is not the only cause of high ankle sprains. There are certainly others. We've noted that type of tackle that you mentioned, and I think it needs to be very active discussion point going forward. Got rid of the horse collar.
Yeah.
Because that's essentially kind of the same thing. But at what point in time do you just have to go? Sometimes it happens.
So here's what I'll say. There is a level to all of these rules and the way injuries happen in the game that we need to understand. A sport that is built on physical collisions is going to have injuries. There's a level to that is true. The other level I put it to this, and I appreciate Dr. Sills bringing rugby into the conversation. Y'all realize that rugby has far fewer rates of the types of injuries the NFL experiences, and yet they're a very similar game. And it's because rugby players are taught to hit right. Like, and hit right is probably not the best term to use, but like, there is a specific style of tackling that must be done to be legal in the game of rugby, with the design being away from people getting hurt. Football cannot go to that level of an extreme because the games are also different. But the NFL needs to eliminate ways to tackle that cause injury. Like, I get there can be a frustration and a ridiculousness to, well, we need to eliminate hit drop tackling. Yeah, because if the style in which you hit someone causes injury, that style of hitting should be gotten rid of. Why do we have targeting in college? The idea is to teach guys to get their head out of tackles. When we used to not care about that, that led to a lot of head injuries. Why do we have the horse collar tackle? The idea of you don't bend guys in difficult ways like that. That would be the purpose of eliminating a hip drop tackle, is trying to create the safest way to play an inherently unsafe game.
I look at this and I wonder how many injuries do occur with these type of tackles.
Yeah, and that's worth looking into.
It is. I it's just at some point you are completely changing the game. The whole goal is to get the guy down, and we have changed how the game is operated for a lot of ways. But I would need my first blush is, I mean, it's just another thing that defenders can't do. Just another thing that they got to deal with. And that, to me, I'm all right with this one because the horse collar leads to, I think, a lot more of these type of injuries than dropping to the ground with your hips. So I would probably say no, I don't like this, but I need to know how often it happens and how often it does end up getting it. But first blush, I think it's just another thing for the NFL to hinder defensive players. That's the one thing that jumps out to me. And to me, when it comes to like rugby, and I know rugby has gotten rid of this and all that kind of stuff, I don't like to compare rugby and the NFL because of one huge, gigantic difference. They have helmets. Rugby does not.
Yeah.
I've said this from the very beginning. You want to, and not so much helmets, you want to stop NFL players from doing really aggressive and egregious things. There is one simple thing that you got to do. Get rid of the face mask. Get rid of the face mask. Not the helmet. Get rid of the face mask, because people won't be sticking their head where it doesn't belong, because that face mask protects the goods. You know, you'll never get rid of the helmet, but if you want to slow everything down, how fast you're going to the football, your face is out there, just hey, there it is, you know, pop it out there. That would change everything. The face mask might be the biggest protector for a lot of reasons in the trenches, as a safety, a lot of stuff. It really, really would. But I think this might be, at first glance, a bit too far. That's how I look at it. But they'll come up with the numbers, and I hope they make it public. And if they do, I would think, because I don't, we're so reactionary to what happens in the postseason.
Yeah,
I mean, you had someone from, I think it was the ESPN covered the Chicago Bears, or not the Chicago Bears, covered the Bears, but saw that and they're like, we got to change the 15-yard penalty. It's too strong of a penalty. That's way too much yardage for what occurs. It's because what happened in the title game. We're now looking at this because, one, it happened to Mahomes, and then it happened to Tony Pollard, both in the playoffs and the divisional round.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing to prominent guys, right? Everybody knows the Buster Posey rule. I mean, we were running into catchers all the way up until what, 2009, 2010?
Yeah, until Buster Posey had his legs snapped like a toothpick.
Yeah, you know, and
then we made the right call.
Yeah, and now part of that too was Buster Posey was in a bad spot.
Yeah, but
my guy was like, literally his feet were together and he was lunged over. Of course that's going to happen, Buster.
Yeah, but it wisened us to the idea of, do we need to even have this being a part of the game? And we didn't, and so we got rid of it in the name of player safety. I get people are so averse to rule changes in football that feel like they're fundamentally changing the game. I get it. I truly do. I understand this. If a decision can be made to play an inherently violent game safer, we should do it. You will never completely eliminate the injury risk in a contact sport. And that is fundamentally impossible.
I think but
we can make it safer.
I think they did the right thing with the horse collar.
Yeah.
Because the numbers were pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And what was the horse collar? Why was the horse collar such a big deal? Do you remember who's?
I can't remember who it was.
Terrell Owens.
Oh, yeah. I couldn't remember which player it was that led the whole thing.
So I get that. Yeah. I need to see more info. I don't see as many injuries to these.
And I am with you on the idea of, let's look into how many players are getting hurt on hip drops and make sure this is not reactionary. But if the idea with eliminating this type of tackle is to make the game safer, that's what we should do. Like, you can do that. Like it is not impossible. And I know these things are not the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been a lot of time. But when everyone talks about fundamentally changing the game of football and how some of these rules change everything, and now you're making this an entirely different game, you're the exact same type of people that hated the forward pass in the 1920s or whenever it happened.
I think it's a little different than that.
If you look back to that time period and that discussion and everything around it, it is incredibly similar to these types of discussions of people saying we can't have a forward pass in football because then we're not playing football anymore. That is one of the same arguments to some of the rule changes we make now. Not identical, but similar ideas of like, if people were like, eliminating kickoffs, changing onside kicks, stuff like that. Like, well, we're not playing football anymore. It's the exact same type of thing they were saying way back when. To a T, the same type of thing.
I think that's a little different because
it's the same thing. That is exactly what they were saying.
Well, no, I disagree with you. I think I can see how you get to that point. I do think it's a little different.
Games change, games evolve with the times.
And I think they have. I think this is a bit too far if you just say, yeah, well, you can't tackle like this. If the numbers are incredibly strong, I don't see that happening, though. I really don't. And that's why I think
I am in favor of nearly every rule if it is from a place of we want to make this inherently violent sport somehow safer. Because we can't. Well, then, it is possible to do.
So then what about flag football? You okay with that?
Sure.
So you'd be okay if we got rid of tackling, just put them in flags.
If we ended up marching that way for the safety of players and the things that have happened and enough people wanted to do that, I wouldn't fight it.
Really?
If enough people care about the safety of themselves and their loved ones that they want to fundamentally change a thing, who am I to stand in their way?
Then don't play.
And that's their choice.
Well, that to me, at some point in time, and I think we've gotten there now with concussions and all of that, you can help make the game as safe as you possibly can. Yes. But at some point in time, then don't play. If you are worried about rolling your ankle, then football ain't for you.
There is an assumption of risk at some point, and I agree with you on that. And that's when we reach the boiling point of does football die or does football say?
Wait, what?
That there will be an inflection point of where we get to the point of we've made it as safe as we can. And it comes down to either not enough people want to play this game anymore and it dies, or we reach the point where we're fully okay with the risk being taken. We're not there yet. That's why we keep making these changes.
There will become a point, like to me, flag football, don't play. That ain't for you. No, that ain't for you. Just don't play football. Same thing at some point in time. To me, you can keep making these changes. Well, hey, you know what? If you are that concerned about how so many people get tackled, then football ain't for you, and then just don't play it, and that's okay. If that's not for you, I would say no to this one. I would say don't. Unless there is a crazy amount of numbers like there was with the horse collar. Yep. But I'm not fully against this until I know more. But if I had to make a choice right now, full go, no, don't ban that. That's fine. Injuries happen in the NFL. Coming up next, we will wrap things up with the mic drop. For your mic drop.
It's very simple. KU plays Iowa State tomorrow. Please win, Hawks. I would really like that. And I think they will because they beat Iowa State. Just happens. You don't lose to Iowa State. Yeah, they actually do, especially in Hilton. But either way, go Hawks.
What's been the record against Iowa State the last couple
I would
of years?
have to look at that. Iowa State's gotten some good ones. But I don't know.
If I can just pull that up here. Iowa State, probably not gonna have enough time. My mic drop for this week is that you know what? I just want everybody to have a great weekend.
Yeah, that's good vibes.
Have a good
weekend, everyone.
And we'll talk to you on Monday with this Super Bowl week. I cannot wait. It's gonna be so much fun. That'll do it here for this edition of Mic'd Up. 580 Sports Talk coming up next.